So that shiny new game just came out, MindsEye, and you want to know if it's worth your time, right? Well, let's take a look at the game first and first impressions. Keep in mind this is not a full review, this is a quick look at the game. I played the game for 2 hours, so I'll show some footage of the game while describing it and giving a few thoughts on it. This game immediately begins with a cutscene and then puts you directly into the game. There was no main menu and that threw me off a little bit. The first thing that became apparent to me was the graphics and performance. It was stuttering for me pretty much the whole game off and on. Some parts were alright, but most of the game was kinda stuttery. That could vary based on your own hardware though. The graphics are kinda weird to me too. Max settings at 4K and it still doesn't look as good as I thought it should. Most of the game the graphics were kinda mid looking, but there were a few parts I was like, okay, this actually looks good. It was a mixture of kinda bad, okay-ish, and actually good, at least in my opinion, which is why I thought it looked weird overall. Also, the aliasing in the game isn't the best either. With no upscaling, the aliasing is pretty awful. With DLSS, it was better, but again, not as good as I thought it should look with DLSS on. The game also seems to have depth of field permanently on, which is annoying because that's something I always turn off in a game. But when you're standing there with your character, you have the ability to zoom in, and when I do that, the depth of field just goes away for the most part and the game looks way better. It's just a shame that the default is with it on. Another issue I had was texture pop-in. I'd be driving and the graphics are loading in front of me, or popping in. The AI cars themselves would also pop in and pop out of existence sometimes while driving too. I really dislike seeing that in games. Speaking of driving though, it actually feels pretty good to drive in this game. Cars can get damaged, but nothing too realistic. When your car gets very damaged, it'll smoke, catch on fire, and then blow up. I was in a mission when that happened, and I was unable to leave the car, so I just had to accept it and die. You can't steal people's cars like in GTA for example, you just have an assigned car. But later in the game, I was chasing someone, and I had the option to get into several parked vehicles nearby, so that's something. There doesn't seem to be any player upgrades or inventory. You have a default pistol, but when you kill someone, you can walk over their gun and it'll pick it up automatically. You can choose it from the weapon wheel. The gunplay feels a bit mediocre to me. It's nothing great. I really just liked using the default pistol. I also tried an SMG and a shotgun, but the shotgun damage falls off and the SMG has a lot of recoil, so I just stuck to the pistol. There also doesn't seem to be any free roam. You just continuously follow the story. Though in between missions when you're driving to the next objective, I guess you could just drive around if you really wanted to, though there wouldn't be too much to do. Now as for the story, there's a lot of it. I was sitting back watching cutscenes a good chunk of my time on this game. I won't go too in depth, I'll just give the overview of the story. Well, at least the first 2 hours of it. So the main character was in the military. He had some sort of tech interface implanted behind his ear, and he was controlling a drone with that. That drone then came across something underground, and it seems to have infected him in some way. Then, 3 years later, he only partially remembers his time in the military, so I guess it affected his memory. He keeps getting flashbacks and falling to the floor as well. Whatever that thing was that infected his tech implant, it seems to still be affecting him, though he did say his implant was decommissioned, but who knows. I'm assuming that will be the main storyline, and you end up finding out what happens. In the meantime, he's got a different job, and that's what I spent my time doing, like driving to locations, shooting someone, stuff like that. I'd say the story is actually not bad. It's kind of mysterious and it's interesting. The missions he was doing with his job isn't as interesting. My problem with this game is pretty much everything other than the story. It just feels like it should have been worked on for longer. The performance and graphics need some fine-tuning, and other than following the missions, there's not really anything else to do. It's a single-player game, and the main point is to experience a story, so in that aspect this game it's alright. I just don't know how to feel about this one though. I'm mixed on if I like it just enough to continue playing and beat it, or if I should just refund it and be done with it. I just wasn't that satisfied the whole time that I played, though that's my personal opinion. Whether or not this is your type of game, I'll see you on the next one.